Marvin Sapp isn't just a pastor. He's a gospel heavyweight, a soulful singer, a passionate preacher, and the man behind some of the most unforgettable church anthems out there. His voice hits deep, and his sermons? Fire. Over the years, he's built a massive fan base that hangs on to his every word. But behind all the polished church suits and feel-good praise music, there's been some serious chaos shaking up his public image. So how did Marvin go from being gospel royalty to catching side eyes in the headlines? Strap in, because this ride ain't smooth. Close the sanctuary doors and get the choir warmed up. This one's gonna hit every note of drama. Me, 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 me. In an eye-opening moment, Marvin confessed to Page 6 that life wasn't always so holy. After his parents divorced, things spiraled fast. He started smoking substances when he was just 12. By the time he turned 16, he was already drinking heavy and popping pills. And at 18, he got into that dangerous powder. Marvin came clean, saying, "I've always sung gospel music, but that was because my mother made us go to church." Then he hit us with a truth bomb. Just because we went to church did not mean the church was in us. That line right there says it all. But things eventually took a turn. Marvin found purpose and rose up, first stepping into the spotlight with the gospel group Commissioned. That's where people started to take notice of his raw emotion and insane vocals. When he launched his solo career, he didn't just make music. He made waves in the gospel world. His songs hit hard, and soon enough, Marvin was a household name, delivering messages of faith while rising above the chaos of his past. In 2007, Marvin Sapp hit a whole new level of success when he dropped Never Would Have Made It, a gut-wrenching anthem inspired by the death of his father, Reverend Henry Louis Sapp. That track didn't just touch souls, it dominated the charts. The song blew up everywhere, earning Marvin serious recognition far beyond the church walls. At the same time, his ministry was blowing up too. He became the beloved pastor of Lighthouse Full Life Center Church in Grand Rapids, Michigan, with people showing up in droves to hear his word. But in 2010, heartbreak came crashing down again. In September of that year, Marvin's wife of 18 years, Melinda Sapp, passed away after a tough battle with colon cancer. The loss shook his world. Over 2,000 mourners showed up at her funeral, and more than 100,000 tuned in online. That's how deep the love for Melinda ran. Now suddenly a single father of 3, Marvin channeled all his grief into preaching and performing like never before. His pain became his purpose, and that raw vulnerability only made his following stronger. People admired how he stood tall through the storm. He became a symbol of strength and resilience. But as the gospel world grieved with him, whispers started floating around, and they weren't so kind. People began questioning how Marvin handled that dark chapter. Allegations surfaced claiming that he might have been asking his congregation for large amounts of money during his wife's illness. And just like that, the same pulpit that lifted him up was turning into a spotlight of scrutiny. It was all being done under the banner of medical expenses and growing the ministry. But folks weren't buying it. Sure, it's normal for pastors to get support from their congregation. That's part of church life. But something about this situation rubbed people the wrong way. The way sympathy was seemingly flipped into financial gain had a lot of folks side-eyeing the whole operation. Then came the real jaw-dropper. Church officials started selling Melinda's funeral program for $10 a pop. Yes, $10 for a 12-page color booklet that included her life story, the full program, poems read at the service, and personal photos of the Sapp family, including their 3 children. People were shocked. What was supposed to be a moment of reverence turned into a money grab. At least that's how many saw it. And just when folks were still reeling from that, Marvin bounced back into the pulpit and the music scene real quick, way quicker than most expected. It had people whispering. Had mourning taken a backseat to the spotlight? But the weirdness didn't stop there. Right when Marvin seemed to be regaining his momentum, a dark cloud rolled in. And this one was serious. In 2013, a young medical resident named Dr. Tika Patrick suddenly vanished without a trace. And guess whose name came up? Yep, Marvin's. According to MLive.com, a private investigator hired by her family claimed that Tika had been feeling unsafe before she disappeared. That's chilling. She was last seen on December 5th, after being dropped off at the Borges Medical Center in Kalamazoo. A co-worker had given her a lift to a downtown hotel, but when she couldn't get a room, the hotel shuttle driver brought her back to her car at the medical center. The investigator said the shuttle driver watched her get into her vehicle and drive off. No one was seen following her, and then she was just gone. Turns out, doctor, Tika Patrick had been reaching out to Marvin nonstop, and not just casually. She was allegedly convinced they were in some kind of deep romantic connection. Things escalated quick. Marvin came forward and admitted that she had been sending him letters, leaving him voice messages, and even showing up uninvited at his church. He said, "I have at least 400 pages of correspondence from her that I have never responded to. That's not just a few messages. That's a full-blown obsession, and it didn't stop there." Tika moved across the country, from California all the way to Michigan, joined his church, and even started attending his Bible study group, all in an attempt to get close to him. Eventually, Marvin had enough. He filed for a protection order to put distance between them. But just when it seemed like things might settle down, everything took a heartbreaking and terrifying turn. On April 6, 2014, Tamika's body was found in Lake Charles, Indiana. She had drowned, and her car was discovered abandoned nearby. Authorities ruled Dr. Tika Patrick's death an accident, but not everyone bought it. Conspiracy theories started bubbling up fast. Did Marvin's cold rejection push her over the edge? Was there really nothing deeper between them? And even if there wasn't, people were asking the tough questions. Like, why didn't a man of God who constantly preached about love, compassion, and healing offer this woman some guidance instead of just filing a legal order? Especially when it was clear she was struggling and in need of serious mental health support. Then, in 2013, Marvin's name popped up in yet another controversy. But this time, it came with a reality TV twist. That year, Kandi Burruss from The Real Housewives of Atlanta dropped a gospel track called Stay Prayed Up. And guess who she featured on the song? Yep, Marvin Sapp. Even though the song carried a positive message, Twitter went off. Critics slammed Kandi for being a hypocrite, pointing out that she was making gospel music while also running her spicy online talk show Candy Coated Nights and owning a line of adult toys. And Marvin didn't escape the heat either. Gospel fans dragged him for teaming up with Kandi, claiming he showed zero discernment. Some even accused him of clout chasing, saying he was more focused on cashing in on her reality TV fame than staying true to the message of the gospel. Marvin didn't ignore the heat. He heard the backlash loud and clear. People were calling him out left and right for teaming up with Kandi, and he decided to address it head-on. He jumped on Facebook and dropped a typo-filled message that had folks raising eyebrows. The post read, "Compromise was never done here, nor do I condone her lifestyle or life choices and keeping 100. You don't know the off-camera conversation we had." But the damage was already done, and folks weren't letting it slide that easy. Now fast forward to September 2021, when R. Kelly was finally convicted in federal court. A New York jury found him guilty of racketeering and sex trafficking, a historic moment that left many asking, what took so long? The answer? He had an army of enablers across music, law enforcement, and even inside the Black church. And guess whose name popped back up? Marvin's. Back in 2017, Marvin had collaborated with R. Kelly on a track called Listen. The moment that case hit national headlines, critics pounced on Marvin for ever associating with him, especially when the allegations around R. Kelly had been circling for years before the trial. But instead of stepping back and reflecting, Marvin went on the defense. In an interview, he stood firm, claiming the song was recorded long before any controversy came to light, completely ignoring the fact that rumors about R. Kelly's behavior had been public for decades. And just when people thought the drama might cool down, an old church clip resurfaced, and fans were stunned. In the footage, Marvin can be heard telling ushers to lock the church doors. The context? Still unclear. But the backlash? Immediate and intense. The internet exploded with outrage after that clip dropped. People were furious, accusing Marvin of using the pulpit for financial manipulation and turning his loyal congregation into a cash machine. Faith leaders and critics alike started asking the tough question: since when did salvation come with a price tag? Some even threw scripture into the fire, referencing Matthew 21:12-13, the moment where Jesus flipped tables in the temple for turning it into a marketplace. And here Marvin was, locking church doors during giving time. The optics were bad, really bad. A few days later, Marvin tried to calm the storm with a Facebook post titled, "Let's add context to the clip." He said the moment wasn't at his church, but at an international conference held inside a convention center. He explained that the giving portion of the service was a sensitive moment and required minimal distractions for both security and accuracy. And for those who thought it looked like he was holding people hostage, Marvin insisted, "That was never my intent." But the internet doesn't do takebacks. The clip had already gone viral, and the damage to his public image was done. People were looking at him sideways, wondering if the man preaching deliverance was now dabbling in manipulation. Still, despite the controversy, Marvin's ministry hasn't slowed down. He's still running multiple Lighthouse Full Life Center church campuses and holds a major title: Suffragan Bishop and Senior Advisor to the Presiding Bishop of the Global United Fellowship. That's a big deal. 2,200 churches across 22 countries fall under that banner. And if that wasn't enough tea, Marvin's name has also been whispered in the mix with none other than Dr. Carrie Turner, who just so happens to be the current wife of Pastor Jamal Bryant. The streets are talking. And just when you thought the love life tea was done, think again. Marvin's also been linked to Basketball Wives star Imani Showalter. That's right. The streets were buzzing about that connection too. But Marvin kept it classy in an interview with Rolling Out magazine, saying his main focus had always been on raising his kids. According to him, his commitment as a father made it tough to keep any serious romantic relationships going. But don't count him out just yet. As recently as 2022, Marvin said loud and clear, "I got to get married again. I'm a better man married than when I was a single man." So yeah, the bishop is back on the market and ready to put a ring on it. Marvin Sapp's story is nothing short of a roller coaster. A wild ride full of heartbreak, high notes, messy headlines, and holy moments. It's a saga of success, scandal, and everything in between. But in the world of megachurch drama, only time will tell if redemption's still on the table. Make sure to like, subscribe, drop a comment, and share this with someone who loves some righteous drama. And hey, we'll see you on the next one.